Hello and welcome everybody to my Omnath Locus of Mana deck. I put a lot of time and research into this deck here, gathered a lot of information, and I think I brought you guys something extra spicy today, and I hope you guys enjoy. I think in this deck you'll see a lot of cards that you normally don't see in some of the builds, and for the life of me, I can't understand why some of the other content creators wouldn't put some of these cards in, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He is an older commander. Maybe they didn't have access to those cards, but some of the newer ones kind of boggles me a little bit, but I guess that's the fun of EDH, right? You get it's your own vision, your own creation, and so maybe that's the reason why. But anyways, like I said, put a lot of time and effort into this deck, and I hope you guys really enjoy something very spicy. So we'll get started. So as you know, we're going to pump this guy up. Green mana doesn't empty from our pool, and for every green mana that we're floating, he gets a +1/+1. So we're going to get started with the lands. We're running 25 basic forest. Nothing fancy, just basics, 25 basics, okay? We'll get into some of the utility lands now. We got Blast Zone. Removal on a land. What more do you want? This is fast becoming a staple in the game of Commander. And the double X cost really doesn't bother us. We're able to produce it really easily and remove any problem permanents we might need to deal with. So Blast Zone. Reliquary Tower. We're going to be drawing a ton of cards, so no maximum hand size is going to be really key. Ancient Tomb, standard ramp. Field of Ruin, land removal, and if we have to, we can mana fix ourselves, get rid of this land, and go fetch a green forest. So does everybody else, but it benefits us more. Nightdale, Shrine to Nyx. We're running mono green, so we're going to have a lot of devotion, and this card's going to help us out a lot. Homeward Path, a little bit of a protection for Omnath. If someone wants to steal them, we'll say no, we'll get them back. Rogue's Passage, tap for 4. They can't block them, so we'll kill our opponent with commander damage with this card. So Rogue's Passage, everybody knows Rogue's Passage. Winding Canyons. In my opinion, this should be an auto-include in every Omnath deck. If you read, you tap for 2 until end of turn, you may play creature cards whenever you could play an instance. So as long as we're still, say they remove Omnath, right? As long as we're still in that same phase, you don't want to go to the next phase because he's not on the field no more. Then our mana will empty whatever we're floating. But as long as we're floating enough to pay for this and pay the commander tax on Omnath, we can keep casting as many times as they can remove them. So this card's, like I said, auto-include. Yavimaya Hollow. Again, in my opinion, another auto-include. It's one of our lockdown pieces too, just like Winding Winds. Once we get one of these 2 lands on the field, it's kind of hard to deal with Omnath at that point. It's going to take a collective effort from your opponents to get rid of Omnath at this point. So, Yavimaya Hollow, again, auto-include. Phyrexian's Core. What's going on now? This thing don't want to zoom. Phyrexian's Core, part of our removal package where we get to repeat a process over and over with one of our artifacts that you'll see later on in the video. So I'll put this aside and we'll talk about this card a little bit later. Now we'll get into some of the enchantments. All right. You ever hear the saying, if you're not playing blue, you're not playing Magic? Well, I'm guilty of that. I like playing blue as well. My favorite commander is Tatiova. She's semi-color. But in this case, we're playing mono green. But think about how many tables you sit down at. How many of those guys are running blue? It's almost in every match. Am I right? But adjust this to your meta or whatnot. But anyways, during one of our main phases, we can add up to X mana of any color, where X is the number of islands target opponent controls. So at a 1-drop, as the game goes, this card's going to get progressively stronger, and so it's just great value at a 1-drop. So that's why it's in there. Burgeoning. We're not running too many extra land drops, but again, we're talking value here. If we got the extra land in our hand, we're going to get to play it every time they play one, so that's why it's in there. Just great value again. Urban Burgeoning this time. All right, so read it. Enchanted Land has untapped this land during each other player's untap step. So we enchant the forest as long as we get Omnath on the field, right? We're untapping it. We got 3 other opponents, so that's 3 mana by the time it gets back to us for a 1-drop, which is actually pretty good. And if we got some of the other enchantments you're going to see here shortly, that land's going to tap for even more mana. So it's just great, a great card, great value again at a 1-drop. Exploration, again, great value, additional play land, so that's why it's in there. Alright, if you remember Urban Burgeoning, this allows the land to tap for an extra green. And again, it's a 1-drop. Utopia Sprawl, same thing as Wild Growth pretty much. We have to choose a color. Of course, in this case, we're going to choose green. And imagine if we have both of those on Urban Burgeoning. Now we're tapping for 3 on everybody's upkeep. So again, multiply that. That's going to be 9 coming back our way. 9 mana we're floating. Omnath is getting huge at this point. Rancor plus 2/0 and Trample. The thing is, this card's resilient. It gives them plus 2/0, which is going to be key in some of our draw spells that you'll see later on too. And the biggest part, of course, is Trample. We need to get that commander damage through, and this is going to help us. Hall of Gemstone. I ran this guy instead of there's a new creature out. I can't think of his name, but he's pretty much, he's a creature. He's pretty much like what's it called? The 3-drop rock where it mana fixes and whatnot. It's a standard. I can't think of the name. But anyways, I chose this over that particular rock. And the reason why, it helps us mana fix all our utility lands. They're not going to tap for green. And we're hurting our opponent at the same time. So instead of targeting something else we might need, they're going to target this and try to remove it, which is fine, whatever. But like I said, it helps us mana fix and it hurts them. So Hall of Gemstone. Awakening. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, untap all creatures and lands. So again, it's like Urban Burgeoning if you think about it, but now we're doing all lands and all creatures. It's asymmetrical, so our opponents will get to do the same, but who does it benefit more? In my opinion, it benefits us because we're trying to get Omnath big in a hurry, and we're trying to finish the game. Wilderness Reclamation. At the beginning of your end step, untap all lands you control. So whatever lands we got, we're double dipping here, pumping up our Omnath. Vernal Bloom, again, another asymmetrical card. But remember, it has to read Forest in the subtext for it to produce additional mana. So again, it benefits us more. Now we're tapping for 2 for each forest. Asceticism. Creatures you control can't be the targets of spell or abilities your opponent control, and it lets us regenerate Omnath, so it makes them a little bit more resilient and a little bit more layer of protection. So great card. We'll get into some of the artifacts now. Mana Crypt. It's a little pricey, but it just got reprinted, so that's kind of good news. Probably going to be as affordable as it's going to be for a while until it gets another printing. I was lucky enough to pick this up in Eternal Masters. Even back then, they're a little pricey, but you know, as long as you got one, you can shuffle around into your decks. If you don't have it, just throw an extra force in the deck or something. But you know, Soul Ring taps for 2. Everybody knows Soul Ring. All right, one of the new cards, Shadow Spirit. Again, another card that's going to be quickly becoming a commander staple, and for good reason. In this deck, it helps a lot. It gives us +1/1 and trample and lifelink. So life gain +1/1, which helps our card draw when we get to the sorceries and instants. And here's the kicker: pay 1 permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So that lets us target different things with this particular card, and we're able to remove those threats. Lightning Greaves, more protection for Omnath, and it gives them haste. Same thing with Boots, a little bit more, Boots. More protection, same thing as Greaves there. Doubling Cube. Tap for 3, double the amount of mana in our pool. So, again, we're getting out of hand here, guys. Mirage Mirror. My pet card, right? Everybody knows my pet card. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Whatever shenanigans our opponents are doing, we're going to do them too. If we need to copy something we have on the build on our field to do something in response, whatever that might be, whatever they're doing, we're doing, they're doing, everybody's doing. So Mirage Mirror, just a fantastic card. All right, Well of Knowledge. This is one of our draw engines, and I didn't mention this earlier, but I do have a combo to kill 4 people or 3 other people with commander damage. It's very much possible, but if you're going up against good players, they're not going to let that happen. They're going to all gang up on you, and if you need a way to end the game, this is going to allow us to draw into our combo, and it's asymmetrical. But who does it benefit more? Us, because we're able to produce probably more mana than anybody at the table. So as much as we can pay into it, we're able to draw that many cards. Okay. Whisper Silk Cloak again. This is a good game. Unblockable, and he has Shroud. So they better have a board wiper or something of the sort, because we're getting through. Swords. Just a fantastic card, as everybody knows. Protection from black and green. Gives our Omnath +2/2. And whenever our Omnath deals damage, we're going to tap all our lands and pump up our Omnath some more. So the +2/2 helps, and the untapping of the land helps to feed Omnath bigger. And again, this is going to help with some of our draw spells when we get to them later. Staff of Domination. This is part of our infinite combo that I was talking about. As we get into some of the creatures and whatnot, some of you guys might be familiar with it, but I'll put this off to the side. Alright, Sword of Karun, similar to a Staff of Domination, but read it. As long as a creature is tapped, creatures you control get +2/0. So that's all our creatures. So we don't have too many creatures in the way of like tokens or anything like that. But again, it's pumping up our Omnath if we need them to. And it helps out with our draw spells too. So we need Omnath to be as big as possible to draw as many cards as possible. But again, this is in there for our infinite combo. I wanted more redundancy so that the combo would occur more frequently. If combo's not your thing, just take them out, and we'll talk about some other cards that maybe you could put in there that I had to take out in order to put this combo in. So I got those off to the sides that I'll talk about here shortly. Vildakian Ori. Let me get this to zoom. Alright. This card, in my opinion, should be an auto-include too. I don't think you should build Omnath without this particular card. It's getting a little bit pricey, but it's an auto-include. Read what it says. You may play non-land cards anytime you could play an instant. Alright, so anything we got in our hand. Remember, we got the mana to do everything we want to do. So once our opponents, we see what mana they're showing or whatever, if they're tapped out, start setting up our combo, on the end of their turn, So, like I said, auto-include in every Omnath deck, in my opinion. Alright, Mind's Eye. I put it in there for card draw, of course. We're able to pay the 1, it's no problem. So, we're drawing 3 cards every turn. So, by the time it gets back to it, that's an extra 3 cards. So, it helps us tear and set up whatever we might have to set up. Spine of Ishna. Alright, so this was part of the removal package I was talking about with Phyrexian's Altar, right? Pay 1, sacrifice an artifact, you gain 1 life. So it's just a constant removal. We're able to pay the 7, no problem, and deal with any permanents that we need to deal with. So when it enters, we destroy an artifact. When it's put into the graveyard, it comes back to our hands. So we get to deal with problems over and over again. So, good little loop I put in there, Alright, now we're going to get into some of the sorceries. First one's a good one. Lets us go digging for whatever creature we might need. Maybe it's a removal creature that we need. Maybe it's to set up our combo that we got coming up in our creatures. But anyways, Green Sun Zenith, just a versatile card. and multiple uses to get shuffled back in. Sylvan Scrying. I really like going to search for our lands early on, and I got another card here shortly, but I like to go search for one of these cards. If one of these cards are already on the field, it makes Omnath that much harder to get rid of. So that's why I like going searching for one of them. Or say we got one of these lockdown pieces after that, we might need the removal land like Phyrexia's core, or maybe we want to go rampart. Maybe it's time to finish someone off. We got the trample, and we can produce enough mana to kill somebody, so maybe go get this guy. So going to fetch our lands whenever we need them is kind of key. Cultivate, it's helping us ramp faster and get out of the gates even quicker. Same thing, this is Pillage. Go search for a forest. Put one onto battlefield tap, then put one into your hand. Kodama's Reach, the same as the other two cards. Hour of Promise. This time, instead of Sylvan Scrying, where we go search for one land, on this one we're searching for two lands. So, maybe one of these two, or maybe one of these two. Or how about even Blast Zone? Alright, whatever we need. This helps us get whatever we need. Traverse the Outlands. I'm not running Balanced Realms, I should say. But I'm running this one because I think it's more powerful. It's the greatest power among creatures you control. Versus Balanced Realms is search for up to X basic lands, where X is the number of lands you control, and put them onto the battlefield. Remember, we're not running too many extra land drops. We're not running every one that we could possibly run, because we have to make room for other stuff. But I decided that Traverse was a little bit more powerful than Balanced Realms, so that's why I'm running Traverse over that one. Soul's Majesty. Draw cards equal to the power of target creature you control. So this is going to let us get out of control really quickly, and odds are once we cast this for a significant amount, that's usually game over at that point, because we're going to draw into our combo. Same thing with Ricard's Expertise. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. You may cast a card with CMC 5 or less from your hand. So ideally, you'll pay for this card, and then 5 or less, then you'll do it again. Except this time, you're not taking no mana from the pool, and it's going to be the same amount. So, like I said, once you get a draw spell going, it's usually GG at that point. Let me get these out of the way. Alright, Seasons Past, a little bit of redundancy. Like I said, we get to bring stuff back from our graveyard. I put this in instead of Praetor's Council. It gets shuffled back in if we're in a grindy game for any which reason. Maybe they know our combo and they took it away. I don't know. Whatever the reason might be, but I did this instead of Praetor's Council. I like multiple uses out of one card, so, Praetor's Council gets exiled. This one doesn't. It gets put on the bottom of our library, so great card. Alright, now we're going to get into some of our instants. Worldly Tutor, search your library for a creature card and reveal it, and then shuffle your library and put it on top of it. So I put this one in here to help set up our combo. Normally, if we're using this one, we're usually going to go get, like I said, one of our combo pieces. I'll put this off to the side here. Moment's Peace, it's a fog effect. I like this particular one. Prevent all combat damage. It has a flashback cost. Say somebody's running red, they make us wheel. Instead of being, out of cards and out of options, as long as this is in our graveyard, it still has use to us. So that's why I like this card, Moment's Peace. Alright, another fog card. Except this one has buyback, sacrifice a land. Remember, once we get some of our lockdown pieces, like Yavimaya Hollow or Winding Winds or something of that sort, where lands at that point don't really matter. If we have to sack one, that's fine. We're able to afford that because we're already got enough mana in our pool with Omnath. As long as we keep Omnath on the field, we're fine. This card is great. Heroic Intervention. Maybe protect some of our enchantments, our lands, whatever we need to protect. It's key. That's locking down our opponents from them being able to do this to any of our permanents. So this helps with that, and they're back to square one. Beast Within, just to remove it, they get a 3/3 on it, but remove at instant speed and green, you can't beat it. Alright, let me get this to zoom. Momentous Falls. An additional cost to cast Momentous Fall. Sacrifice creature. You draw cards equal to the creature's power, then you gain life equal to its stuff. Now, so a little bit of life gain, but mainly it's there for card draw. And remember, as long as we got like Winding Canyons, we can do it. Even if he's not on the way to the graveyard with Winding Canyons, we can sack him, and then with the floating mana. Because at that point, if we're doing that, we'll just bring him right back. The whole point was just to be able to draw some cards. So you're kind of seeing how significant Winding Canyons is to this deck. So it's just a great card. Return of the Wild Speaker has 2 modes. Draw cards equal to the greatest power of non-human creatures you control. Ideally, that's what we use it for. But look at this. Non-human creatures you control get +3/3 until end of turn. Maybe that's the difference between us knocking someone out is the extra 3 damage. Maybe that's all we need to knock them out of the game with the commander damage. So a great utility card there. Scour from Existence. Exile target permanent. Maybe someone's running one of the Ulamogs or something indestructible, one of the gods, and they're getting out of hand. So we got to have something to exile them. So it's a little pricey, but with Omnath, nothing's too pricey. All right. Now we'll get into one of our last batches here. Our only Planeswalker in the deck, but it's a good one. First one reads, put a 3/3 beast token onto the battlefield. So depending on where we're at in the game, that's not normally what we use it for. But if we need to produce tokens as chump blockers, we can do that. But ideally, he's in there for a draw spell, you know. And with some of the things, we can bring them back. So, good card. All right, there's part of our combo is Walking Ballista. I'm sure you guys probably figured it out, but Worldly Tutor is one of the cards where we can go fetch it. That's why Worldly Tutor and him are there. I want it to the combo to occur more frequently, so that's why it's in there. Walking Ballista will pump them up. And it's a kill shot for everybody once we get, like, say, Savella. And I can't think of the creature's name right now. But, you know, we're getting to that in a minute. Let me put this off to the side. Birds of Paradise. Now we're getting to some of the dorks. Everybody knows birds. Land of War Elves. So we're trying to get out of the gate super quick here. Finhorn Elves. So ideally, when you open up with your hand, you want maybe a 1-drop in your hand and maybe 2 lands, so we get going pretty quickly. This deck can win as early as like turn 3 with some of the cards we have in here if we go infinite. But I've done turn 4. I haven't done turn 3 yet, though, but I've definitely done turn 4. Elvish Mystic, just another dork. Arbor Elf. Alright, Unveil Tracker. 2 tap, target creature you control fights another creature you control. So removal here. Of course, we'll target Omnath because he's usually going to be bigger than anybody on the field. And for some reason we can't get through at that point, we'll just have Omnath take him out. And go from there. Secure Tribe, standard ramp card, and a chump blocker if we need them. Voyaging Satire. So again, helps us with some of our lockdown pieces. You have my Hollow, Winding Canyons. We get to untap those guys because it says untap target land, or maybe even night those. So again, so with this guy, it's going to take a collective effort to get Omnath off the field. So that's why I really like this card in there. So Voyaging Satire. All right, some Grave Hate, Scavenging News. Courser of Kufix, I like her because you know, we get to reveal the top card of our library and of its land, so it helps us tear through our deck a little bit quicker. In a 2/4 body, not bad. Eternal Witness, a little bit of recursion, so great card. Savella, oh, there she is. So another part of our combo. So it says tap for 1 green, tap, add X mana of any combination of colors to your mana pool, where we're going to be doing green, right? Because we're running green. Where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So with Staff of Domination, as long as it can produce like 4 mana, you're going to keep tapping and untapping the whole way. And then Sword of Runes is kind of similar to that. So she's one of our combo pieces that lets us go infinite mana. And as you saw, we got ways to bring her back. We got ways to regenerate her. We got ways to protect her. So it's not just Omnath. We got ways to protect her as well. And the next card is going to be similar to it, but this one, Karametra's Acolyte, excuse me, taps for our devotion. So another good card where we get to go infinite with her too. And you know, if you don't have Savella, she's like a budget she doesn't do quite the same thing, but she's kind of along the same lines as that, and she's super budget as well. And so there's part of our combo. All right, Oracle Moldiah. Play with the top card revealed and play an extra land. Acidic Slime, removal on a creature. I put him on in there because he has the extra step of destroying the lands, and not only that, he has Death Touch. So whoever swings at us is going to lose a creature if we block with Acidic Slime. So I had to make tough decisions. Again, if you don't want to go with the infinite combo that I put in, which is fine, be sure to put in Reclamation Sage. Okay, so I would probably do that. So I had to make tough decisions on what to cut. And Rec Sage was one of the things that got cut over Acidic Slime. Normally you'd want to run both, but like I said, I wanted the combo in there to finish the game quickly if I have to. Maybe we're paying for if an impact or something, who knows. Seedborn Muse. Untap all permanents you control during each other player's upkeep. So again, we're just getting out of hand here and tapping for an insane amount of mana and pumping our Omnath up. Vorinclex. Alright, whenever you tap a land for mana, add an additional to your mana pool of any type that land could produce. Whenever an opponent taps land, that land doesn't untap. So it benefits us and it hurts our opponents. Again, during editing and stuff, a lot of people are running this card now, Nyxbloom Ancient, which allows you to tap for 3 mana, right? That's great and all, but I mean, we're able to produce mana all on our own. Whereas Vorinclex, it helps us and it hurts our opponents. So Nyxbloom Ancient, you know, I took it out and put in Vorinclex. I just think it's a better card. Let me know what you think as far as that is concerned. But that is the last creature in my deck, Omnath, Locus of Mana. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any questions, or maybe I missed something that should be not included and I didn't do it. Maybe I have a reason why. So please drop a like, subscribe. I am trying to grow my channel, and be on the lookout for more videos that I'm going to be doing here in the future. So anyways, get out there and win, guys.